Hey, so how are you doing? So I just want to talk about the different shapes that actually run our lives. There are certain shapes, geometric shapes, that run everything. So the first thing is that there's three of everything: heart, soul, and mind, Father, Son, Spirit. And there are three shapes. There's a circle, there's the square, and there's a triangle. And from these shapes, we have all of the other shapes. So here is the thing that they run everything in our lives because we live in a 3D world. So in this three-dimensional world, we have three of everything. So there's a father, the son, and this. There's a father, a mother, and the son, and everything is just like that. Everything has three in them. Like everything is the tree because we ate from that tree. So that tree is the genealogy of everything and the generation of everything. That is the family tree. So when we talk about the shapes that run our lives, this is not just hype, but like everything in this world is in this dimension. So you'd see that we are always in this situation where we feel trapped. If you've ever felt it, I've felt it. I was going through it a couple of days ago, like just feeling trapped. Because I realized that life is a trap and everything is in a box. So in this box you can only go up, you can only go forward, maybe backwards, or you can go left and right, and that's it. So you can't go in. But that's the fourth dimension, to go in to yourself, where the inner man is, to go out of yourself, where God is, where every like the fourth dimension is something iffy. But we're in the third dimension. But we have access to a fourth dimension, which is why Paul is like, hey, you have to comprehend with the saints what is the breadth, the length, the depth, and the height. Breadth, length, width, breadth, depth, and height. So that depth to go in, to go out, is the fourth dimension. But in this dimension, we just have this volume that you can only go up, you can go down, you can go left and right. So when you see everything, you see that we are in this way trapped in this place, which is maybe trapped is a very dramatic way of saying it, but this is the nature of our universe. Our universe. This is the nature of it. If you're a spirit, you have different movements. You just don't go up and down. You can go in different directions that we haven't even thought about. So it's just like seeing a line, and that line has its own dimension. That's a two-dimensional line. A dot is one dimension. So we're in the third dimension where you can join the different lines. So this is why we can join different thoughts and things like that, and this is why everything is directed like this. So we are people who are living in this world, and everyone in this world, not everyone, most of the people in this world, I'd say 80% or even more of the people in this world are living in boxes. They live in boxes until they get into another box, which is a coffin. But in the meantime, they live in a box, which is a house, which has corners. That's a box. So this is just boxing you in. You're just being in that box with those four corners, like me right now. All of these corners are just boxing me in this place. So I'm just being contained in this box. But in my roots, we don't live in boxes. We can't live in boxes because we are water. And have you ever seen, like, you don't put water in a box, but what you do is you put it in a cup. A cup is round. It's a cylinder. So you put water in this cylinder. Just like how you put these water bodies in a cylinder. We live in huts, which are round houses. So this round house is supposed to accommodate your spirit, so that your spirit does one thing, which is just it spirals. So it accommodates your spirit and allows it to spiral. It allows it to spiral. You can't spiral in a box because of these corners. You can't do that. So you're in that hut, and then you can spiral because it is round. So you can go round and round until you go to that edge where you can project yourself, the fourth dimension. So this is actually how people are supposed to be living. That's an African house, a hut. But we have these boxes, and we're being boxed in. So this actually affects how our minds operate, because now we're using the box mindset. Very few people are able to think outside the box because they live in a house, because they live in this square. Like you live in a certain allotted number of square feet. These squares make you a square. But then where you find power is in both of these shapes. So the name of God in the Bible actually is a very, very powerful concept. Very, very powerful name. The name of God is Yahweh, which is 4 letters, which is WHWH. So in your version of the Bible, this is why I've never read the Bible. I've read a version of the Bible. And in my version of the Bible, it doesn't even tell me the name of the God in the Bible. It just says God. But that's a title, just like saying doctor. Hey, doctor. But then if you go to a hospital and then you're like, hey, I'm looking for doctor. Where's doctor? You won't get the right doctor because there's so many gods in this universe. But then what you need to do is to identify with the name. So this is the tetragrammaton. This is Yahweh, WHWH. So this is something that we have expression for, but it doesn't have any actual pronunciation that we can say. So the name is translated as Yahweh, Jehovah. This is Yahweh. I don't know how it gets to Jehovah, but that is the same Yahweh. And this is actually something in our language that sometimes when you say Hui, you're actually saying God's name. Hui, Shui. That is WHWH. And Yahweh. So because you're using different vowels. Because in Hebrew you don't have vowels. You just have these consonants, WHWH. So if I use if that inutterable name of God is Yahweh or Yahuwah, this is just how we insert these vowels, but it could be anything. It could be Yui, it could be Yue, it could be Yahweh, because all of these are those letters. So this is the name of God. So this name is 4. It's called the tetragrammaton, the 4-letter tone. So the tetragrammaton is something else that needs a conversation dedicated to that alone. But then the tetragrammaton means 4. And what we're talking about is a square. And every square has 4 sides. And this is where we also get rectangles, which have 4 sides. So the 4, the power of 4, the 4 sides, the 4 angles, the 4 letters, the 4 seasons, the 4 tastes, the 4 years. We have every a leap year. The 4, number 4 is very important. The four limbs in our body. And in my face, I have all of the 4 senses: my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my ears. 4. Okay, so the 4 animals of God. The 4 is very, very powerful, and this is why everything is in this box of 4. So this is a book. It has 4 corners. Every book has 4 corners. Tell me a book that doesn't have 4 corners. Your bed has 4 corners. Your house has 4 corners. Like basically has 4 corners. Every room has 4 corners. Your windows have 4 corners. Your phone has 4 corners. Your laptop is 4 corners. So this is symbolizing the strength. So this power can be either harnessed or used against you. You can either harness this power or it will be used against you. So you have to realize that 4 is very, very powerful. They're the 4 animals that are on the throne of God. The 4 animals with the 4 faces of the 4 zodiacs. These faces are that. The Mazzaroth. Like, that is what they actually are. The 4 Gospels. 4 is a very powerful number. And this is how it actually boxes everything in. So this is why boxing is all about power, right? But then this number 4 is the masculine energy, the masculine entity. And this is why you see that in the Old Testament, it has a different type of like there's a different type of God in the Old Testament. Yahweh is different from the New Testament God, Jesus, who is more chilled. So here we have Yahweh, and he completely changes in the New Testament, right? But there's so much power in 4, the 4-letter word, the tetragrammaton. There is so much power in it, and with that, you know, like if you say squared, this is a square. And from this square, you actually have a tetrahedron, tetragrammaton. Tetrahedron has the 3 shapes, right? There's the box, and there's a triangle and the circle. The tetrahedron has all of those. This is the Trinity in a symbol, right? This is how it's actually symbolized. So I'm not saying God is a shape. I'm saying God is everything. So, with that, then you have this, and from this you can say like a squared number is when a number is, like you can say a number to the power of. This is how it finds power. A square is numbers to the power of. So you can say 9 to the power of 2, like the power of 9, the square root. You get the power in the number. So this is how you get the power, the word power. And then you can also cube it, like you can say 3 cubed, which is the power of that number times 3, right? And from this cube, you still get these squares, but now you have 6 squares. A cube has 6 faces, 6 squares on a cube, and this is power. A cube has power. So now you have to realize that these shapes work hand in hand. The cube works with the circle because everything is everything. So, all right, let me quickly show you something. So, I actually first discovered this when I started trading. When I started doing finance. So this is how? Oh boy. All right, this is very, very rough, but then this is the Fibonacci sequence. We have, this is the spiral or a circle, and this is a rectangle or a cube. Okay, so we have the curves that work with the lines, with the curve, with the edges. So this is very important to understand that both of these work together. This is male and this is female, and this is just how it is, because when we have a number to the power of something, this gives it power. Okay, so this is how you can actually understand this. When you incubate something, like you incubate an egg, you have a circle that is put into a cube, and then it hatches. You have an incubator. And now I just want you to just see something here. Incubus is a demon that actually sucks power out of a person during sleep. Succubus does the same thing. Incubus is the male type of demon that does that. And then all of them are cubus, incubus, succubus. So they have that cube in the 3rd dimension. So they come into the 3rd dimension and then they start sucking power out. And these are just insects, because an insect has 3 parts, and then this is the incubus part and the succubus part. So this division creates that so it's like a bug or a sickness, the incubus or the succubus. So this is something that takes people's power in the 3rd dimension because of the cube, because we're in this cube. So we have to also understand that where we get power is also through circles. Our circle, like you can say, like your network is your net worth, stuff like that. And what you're talking about is your circle of friends. So circles represent unity and also represent power, just like cubes represent power. But then With a circle, you have spirals. You have a coil. Like a circle coils around. Just like what? Just like your actual DNA. It spirals. Like it's a spirit. That's what a spirit does. It spirals around. So it like coils around. That double helix. Just like a braid. It coils around you to make you. And you are a bunch of shapes. Like this hand right here. This kind of looks like a rectangle, doesn't it? Like a cube. But the moment I do this, now I have a circle. So I am these circles and cubes and everything like that. So when you have this is how it actually coils. So it winds. So it spires. Inspiration to draw in, and expiration to breathe out. So you inspire or you respire. This is life. So this is a circle, the circle of life. Because the circle of life says that the trees breathe out what we breathe in. It's the circle, again, the circle on this planet. So it actually coils or it winds. To wind is to say wind. This is the air, the winds. He gave him breath and then he was a living being. So he needed to have the flat planet and he needed the circular wind. Because if I see something, I just look at what it says, like plainly, right? Plainly. That's interesting. Plainly, right? So this, what is that? That's a plane. And then you add a T to it. And then you have that the United Nations flag, roughly speaking. You have the United Nations flag, and you also have the symbol for the planet Earth. This is what it is, the T, which is north, east, west, south. This is 4, and this is the circle again. So with this, you also have the cube. You also have the box. You also have the box here, and you also have the Earth. So you have a plane, you have a planet, whatever it is. I don't know if it's flat, I don't know if it's circular, but I think it is. I think it's both. But then what you see is that everything has to interact with the circular or the female and the angular, the male. So don't just use your right brain or just your left brain. You have to use both of them. There's always two. There's always Adam and there's always Eve. So when you look at it, it's just like how everything interacts. The pizza is round, but it's in a box. It's round, but it's in a box. All of the information comes to you through a box. Okay, so you have to use that spirit to actually ingest the information properly. Like when you look at like how people actually gain power or gain alliances, you have a friendship, a circle of friends, and when you get married, you have a ring which actually surrounds this person for you. So you see that when people do rituals, they stand in a circle. Why is it a circle? They're like in a ring, and then this ring has power. This ring has power. So you have to know that your circle of friends has power. Okay, so everything is in these shapes. Everything is in these shapes. So even when you're using a map, like the compass is what shows you it goes round, right? But then you use a map which is just 4 corners. When you look at money, you have coins which are circles, and you have fiat currencies which are just papers like this, rectangles. And all of these things are just like that. Everything is created to be in this type of intimacy. So everything works like that. This is the Fibonacci, the spiral within the rectangle, because we're in a plane. And the word plane just means level field. That's a plane. We call this a plane of existence. We call it a plane net. Whatever that should mean to you is wherever we are. And everything is that. Like, and now it's like, all right, why do people go boxing in a ring when it's a box. And what are they boxing? Because all of these things are the same thing. So the first weapon is actually the bow and arrow. The bow and arrow shows you that you use a semicircle and you use a rectangle. You have the bow, you have the arrow. And this is the mechanism for all of the other weapons out there. The bow and arrow is a derivative, or the tanks are a derivative of that mechanism, because you need both of those. You need the circle and you also need the rectangle. So you need both of your minds. You need the male and the female. They are one thing. God created Adam and Eve at the same time in the same person. Eve actually came about after they sinned. There was only man and woman, which was the same thing. A man and one of them had a womb, the womb man. But then after, everything went down, and then Adam's like, all right, I'm going to call you Eve because you're number two, evening out. So everything is that. So you have to understand that all of these shapes, all of these things are ruling everything. Everything is in these shapes. So just know that, and yeah, and just find out like what it actually shows you. That the world's supposed to be round, but it can only be seen on a flat map. So you need both of these things, and this is knowledge in order for you to know that everything is there for you to be liberated. So you're either going to think outside the box or you're going to be boxed in. And if you're boxed in, you're not going to be able to spiral and to go as high as you're supposed to go. Because your spirit is that. Your spirit spirals up, up. And that's what your spirit does. It can't stop. It can't rest. This is what you got. So you have to use it. But there's so much technology that's being used against us. Like, all right, look at the Masonic symbols. They only have a compass and a square. They have a circle and a box. That's all there is to it. That is what their secrets are. The circles and the boxes. And through this, they create everything. Masonic. They're the ones who build this world. Crazy as it is. Those are the two elements that they're using. The circle and the box. And from these ones, you can get an infinite number of things. So thanks a lot for watching, and just check out some of the links below for some other cool stuff.